we'll just waffle for a couple of minutes, and then I'll go into thingy and just
yeah, mate.
Picking up the it says upcoming actually. I don't think we are actually fucking live yet, man.
My elbows hurt. I don't even know how that's happened.
Is it croissant bread?
I think it's the cold. Oh yeah, I just got a YouTube notification saying watch live now. It's a croissant bread.
It's a croissant bread. I'm just uploading.
My favourite is definitely the vanilla. Hugh, when you're on the go like me,
when you're fucking busy doing all fucking podcasts in fucking world, you need Hugh.
Right, we could get Tony Adams.
We should get a Hugh sponsorship.
Yeah, mate, 100%. We should get what sponsorship does someone get and you're like, fucking hell, you made it. AG1 or something?
AG1 would be great. Right, we're fucking live. Have you got the chat?
We've got a viewer.
We've got a few viewers actually. Have you got can you see the chat?
See the chat.
Oh, on the right hand side.
Ages.
On the right hand side where it says chat.
Matthew and Billy. Legends, all of you.
Do you want to should we what we'll do is when we actually upload the pod, or I'll just edit this bit out when we actually upload it. But
seeing behind the curtain here.
Exactly. Do you want to tweet? I'm not logged into Darren doing on I'll do it on my phone actually. Don't worry. I'll do it. Fuck it.
Right. Thanks for getting the questions in, by the way, everyone.
Yeah, nice one, guys.
Really happy with that. And feel free to keep asking questions as well.
Yeah. We haven't done a live stream in a while, actually, have we? Get the W's in the chat.
Oh shit, are you doing it?
Yeah, I'm just going to do it.
No, I'm Harry Winks, 38 mil in January. 38 mil.
Are you joking?
Are you talking the fucking piss?
Is he on fucking Spice or what?
Club trained though. He's club trained.
Yeah, great point. Right. Should be
Matthew's saying time to break the internet. Already more than 4 people, guys.
Time to break my monitor, I swear.
Break my monitor, I swear.
Right, I think we're good. I've tweeted out that we're live. Fuck it, we're doing live. Fuck it, we're doing live.
All right. I don't have a running order.
We'll freestyle.
Freestyle, yeah. I have got a few little things that I want to talk about. But it's a Q&A podcast anyway, isn't it?
Exactly. This is kind of down to you guys to actually give us some... this is your podcast, not ours.
Yeah, exactly. Biss got an assist for Marley, by the way. A couple of days ago.
Dub.
Just seen.
We are so back. Everything's all right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel better already.
I feel so much better.
Right. Okay, let's look at.
Right, I'm just tweeting it out on my account as well. Happening right now. How is everyone, by the way? Is everyone all right? Let's go. Tweet it out, Bosh.
All right, ready?
Yeah. Let's fucking go.
Keep getting questions in the chat as well. The Penguin versus Big Ange. Who are you backing?
I've not watched the Penguin.
He kind of fucking looks like the Penguin, Big Ange, doesn't he?
He does a bit.
That same build.
Aura. Yeah, I'd say so. He's built like a penguin.
He is built like a penguin.
Our manager's built like.
Actually, when Ange was younger and he didn't have a beard, because I actually think like sometimes age benefits people. I think.
Yeah.
Ange Postecoglou, he's got aura. 15, 20 years ago, I don't think he did.
No, I agree.
And he was clean shaved, and he didn't. He had. I'd say negative aura.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say negative aura. I'd say it was balanced out.
He looks a bit more trim now as well.
I
think he looks a bit more trim. Not that we're not body shaming anybody, but he does look. He just looks more. He's got more aura, I think now, just generally.
Do you think he does? Do you think anyone's ever walked into his office and caught him doing push-ups or something? his wife's been like, you need to lose a little bit of timber.
Yeah, come in, mate. Come in, Matters. Come in.
He's like doing press.
You know how I imagine that. You know how have you watched Gavin and Stacey?
Nah. I need to.
No.
I need to. I know. I need to.
If anybody's watched Gavin and Stacey in the chat, you know where Gavin goes over to Bryn and he's doing the workout with Smithy in the home gym. That is exactly what I picture it like. Please, someone either listening back to this or like watching it now, please let me know you know what I'm talking about.
Just doing, like sweating. He's done like 2.
Yeah, that's literally exactly what it's like.
Come in, Madders.
Yeah, come in, Madders, mate. Oh, that'll do, mate. And no, as Madison opens the door,
We're like,
as he opens the door, he's like, and 100, yeah.
Or do you reckon he's really private about it? And like Millet opens it, or Ryan Mason comes in to try and talk to him. And he's like, shut the fucking door, Millet. Fuck.
Yeah, what the fuck are you doing, mate?
Like, you know what anyone...
What do you get out, mate? Try and do a fucking workout here, mate. Try and do fucking Barry's boot camp, mate.
Oh, I'd be pretty shocked, to be honest, if that was the case. But
it's just like the idea. It's like 1, 2, 3, 100. Oh, that'll do for the day, mate. That'll do, mate.
You never know, like he might actually be like ripped underneath.
Yeah, he could be.
Do you know what I mean? Like packing a bit of muscle.
Yeah,
like underneath.
He could
maybe.
Be.
He's a scary bloke. I'd back him in a fight, 100%.
Yeah,
100%. I'd back him in a fight.
100%.
All right, ready to go?
Yeah, let's get started.
All right, legends, everyone in the chat already. All right. Hello and welcome back, Darren and Doing. I'm Will Hester and I'm joined by the brilliant Ben Bowman. Ben, how's your international break been, mate?
Brilliant, genuinely brilliant. Nice little break from Spurs. England slapping up Ireland. Right, fuck you off. Fuck, sorry, Jack Doyle, but fuck off. And good result against Greece as well. Actually played some good football and just had a nice proper break from Spurs. It's been quite nice, but the reality of Spurs returning is becoming very more apparent. And I've
actually really had a really pleasant international break because I've really distanced myself from football completely. I watched the UFC
on Saturday,
which
John Jones pound for pound the greatest fighter in the world.
I actually don't like John Jones, but I love it. I don't know why. I keep trying to watch different sports and stuff to try and distract myself from Spurs now and again, and it never hits home. It's always like, oh, this isn't exciting. This isn't.
Did you watch Jake Paul, Mike Tyson?
Rugby, I can't. No, I didn't. Did you?
Yeah, I stayed up. Well, actually, no, I tell a lie. I stayed up. I watched the Katie Taylor fight, and I was falling half in and out of sleep throughout that. That was a bit controversial. And then once that had ended, I went to bed, and I was like, "Oh, I'll get back up in an hour when it starts," and just didn't. Yeah. And then I'm quite glad.
You didn't?
No.
My brother was fucked the next day because he come from Spain and he watched the fight on the day he came. Yeah. But he stayed up all night, and he said he was watching the fight, and it was like a shit fight. And he was falling in and out of sleep, and as he'd open his eyes and wake up, he'd just see Mike Tyson like that.
No, see Mike Tyson's ass. Did you see that?
Yeah,
did you see the picture of his ass? That was hilarious.
But no, I've
sleep
watched...
paralysis. She's like,
it's just this massive
bum cheeks. So good.
But yeah, I actually really enjoyed it. It was a nice. I might actually start getting into it a little bit more because
what UFC?
I don't know. Yeah, UFC. It's quite good. Yeah. It's because I went to my mate's boxing fight. Yeah, this is going off on a massive tangent, and it was kickboxing, MMA, and just normal boxing. And I don't know why I loved it. You could smell the testosterone in the room and the cocaine. Yeah. And everyone was just tweaking around me. Yeah. I watched my mate, and it was a lot of money actually. There was it was a proper event. There was a presenter. There was ring girls, and I paid 55 quid. My mate got knocked out within 30 seconds. But what he was doing was good. But he got head. It was the best knockout I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. He came out He came out the ring. He came out the walkout, and it was the dum 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 dum. I was getting so fucking pumped up. And then the guy he was fighting come out with a Portuguese flag over him. Yeah. And he started crawling into the ring and growling. and roaring, and we were like, "Oh my god, Evan's fucked."
Yeah,
and
he's
then,
lost.
and then
He's
within
lost.
30 seconds, he head kicked him in the head, and Evan dropped like a sack of potatoes, and he actually was out for a long time. I was actually a little bit worried, but since then I was getting into it. I liked it. I got like a feel for it. Anyway, but I have been feeling really numb about football and about Spurs.
Yeah.
I've just been distanced myself. That Ipswich loss, I know we haven't spoken about it. We haven't done a pod. I was hurting a lot, and to the point where I just feel like you said. I was like, feels like the end of a relationship for some reason. Like you just gone numb, a bit stale, and you're like, yeah, he's just staying together for the kids.
Yeah, it's literally what it is.
I don't know how I feel. How are you feeling about it?
What, just Spurs in general, or like Spurs coming back?
Yeah.
I feel like I feel like quite calm about it now, to be honest. I feel like I feel okay. Ipswich was rough. Like, it took me a day to do my match review on the channel, which came out on the Tuesday. We obviously didn't do a pod because it was just like, I think we were like both busy anyway, but it was just like trying to like, how do you talk about that? Like, it feels like it needs like a few days, and then more of a sort of like retrospective conversation, and then like more of a conversation about moving forward after that, which obviously is happening this week. City away at the weekend.
Fucking so annoying. We got them as well.
I know, and the fact they're going to be so like, the thing is, it's like obviously the Etihad. It's like we've got quite a good record there. City, I think at the moment are very vulnerable, and I think if Spurs go there with some sort of confidence and are able to pick themselves up off the floor from Ipswich, and look, it's one of those ones where if we lose a game, if we lose on Saturday, obviously it's not good because you're getting further away from the top. But reality is, at the moment, it's still only 3 points off a third. But you don't want to slip down that table any further, and then other people will overtake you and all that kind of thing. And it's just not good to have another loss, obviously, off the back of what happened a couple of weeks ago. But Ipswich was, it was just horrific. Like, it was such a funny game because if Brennan Johnson scores that chance in the first 2 or 3 minutes, I think we batter them. Like, I think we go on and win it quite convincingly. And I think it's important to give credit to Ipswich as well, because I think they defended really well. I don't think we made it that difficult for them, to be honest, but they pressed us well. They sat in that sort of, they sat in a mid block, which meant we couldn't really break through the center of them, forcing us out wide, again, putting crosses in the box, which they would just like lap up. And then when they did sort of sat into their even deeper block, when it went to 2-0 and then 2-1, they defended well. They gave us a couple of opportunities, and I think we wasted a fair few, but they deserve credit for it as well. They worked very hard, and there's no easy games in the Premier League, of course, but losing to Ipswich, Crystal Palace, given their situations, and dropping points against Leicester is just not good enough. Like, it's really not good enough. And obviously Ange just kind of come out and said that in terms of the inconsistency, like, it's down to me to change that as a manager. And I think it's refreshing to have someone like Ange in this case who will take responsibility for that, because it is his responsibility. But the problem is that we've had 2 weeks where it's been all like, oh yeah, bloody falling out half the squad, and like Maddison and all this kind of stuff. It's just like,
that's going to start coming.
You can't just process a loss without just it coming to that. And it's like, we were on cloud 9 after Villa, and you want to tell me that you just lost the dressing room after that game, and then everybody goes on the international break straight after we lose to Ipswich. It's just, I don't believe that for a second anyway. But obviously it's going to take something to pick ourselves back up after that, because it was horrific. It was the thing that concerns me is that I think we've had 3 defeats this season, which you'd probably say are the worst defeats under Ange, where like Brighton, Palace, and then Ipswich. There's been 3 this season, which you'd probably put right up there as the worst defeat kind of reign. Yeah. Some of them not his fault. Some of them he has to take responsibility for, of course, as the manager. But again, there's obviously going to be this narrative, and especially now Ten Hag has gone as well in the kind of mainstream media, that Ange is going to be the next target. Spurs are inconsistent. Spurs are Spursy. Is he the guy, etc., blah, 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 blah. And obviously he's not helped himself with some of the stuff that he said about winning the trophy. Obviously that adds to pressure, etc., etc. So it's not a great place to be right now, but and especially going into such a tough run of games that we've got coming up as well. Not just a tough run of games in terms of the opposition. We've got big 6 games in December. Obviously, we've got Chelsea, we've got Liverpool, we've got Man United in the Cup. Obviously, we've got City at the weekend. a lot of tough games coming. It's the intensity, it's the schedule, it's the fact that our summer transfer window is coming back to bite us a little bit now in terms of the quality and the depth in the squad. So, yeah, but I feel like I've sort of I feel like I'm just back on a even kill now. Where it's like you can accept those frustrations, but I'm ready to go again. I feel like it's going to be tough, but I'm behind the team and I'm behind the manager. I'm probably behind the manager more so than the fucking.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, we'll get into that because there's been a lot of let's get into that now then, because there's been a lot of talk around the team recently. I think we're starting to see some elements of the fan base start to turn on certain players.
Yeah.
Which I mean, we're going through. I think before we get onto that, the thing that I'm feeling is I'm actually more. I don't care about the games we've played so far because some of they've happened it's so drastic, isn't it? It's either we smash the team or we lose in such a poor, weak fashion. But that happens across the course of the season. But what I'm worried about is that we're in November. Yeah, we've still got to play Man United at home, which isn't a very good example. Beat Man United, but Aston Villa away, Newcastle at home, Man City home and away, Liverpool home and away, Arsenal away, Chelsea home and away, and that's we've been losing to Palace, dropping points, Leicester, Ipswich. So they're not even the games that you can't guarantee any points. Like you said against for the Ipswich game. If that Johnson goal goes in, it could have been a different game. But
yeah,
that happens most of the time within the first 10 minutes. Something will happen that will allow the game to sway the other way. Aston Villa, there was a couple of chances where Aston Villa could have put the game to bed, and we were like, "Oh, fuck," almost like Ipswich. And then you're looking at a point with no return, but we bounced back and we showed good character. And I feel like a lot of the games we sort of go into it on it's almost like a scale, and chances happen early on, and both teams sort of take punches, and then and it's sort of that sort of dictates the way the game goes. And I don't like going into games as a fan having no idea. I mean, it was entertaining at first, but now it's like I've got anxiety going into games. But I have flip-flopped and I've thought about it a lot. I've got to the point where Ange now is there's no way he can't get criticism because he's definitely doing some questionable stuff. But I'm backing him to the end. I love him so much. I don't want any other manager. I don't think there's a market for managers, and we need to see out another project. Sorry, we need to see out a project. Full stop. We need to. We can't. Then I can't. It's like you'll go insane. It's like Groundhog Day. We can't start giving up on a project 2 seasons in after giving up on another 4 projects before. Where do you go from that? And what gives you the reason to think that this time it's going to be different? We need to just see it out. But the players, there's been a lot of speculation, shit rumors. Basically, they're definitely not true.
My mate, I think was up, and he's heard this, and oh man.
Yeah, oh, fucking shut up. Yeah. But my nan with Alzheimer's makes fucking more sense than those lot. Just when she starts waffling about random shit. And I don't know, Football London. Is it Football London? No, Football
Insider.
Football London's
Ali,
Insider.
Ali Gold. Yeah,
Ali Gold. Yeah. That's a good one. Football Insider saying that Postecoglou's fallen out with a Doggy, Vicario, Maddison, Romero. I mean, come on, this is going to be, and Bentancur. It's going to be a witch hunt. There's always going to be a witch hunt. They've just sacked Ten Hag. Now they're going on to Ange. That is he is their next target. And I think now as fans we need to stay as sort of united and together as possible. The media can only go far as how we take and receive the media. Do you know what I mean? If all the fans are going shut up, and which I think we should do if they start coming up with this waffle.
Yeah,
and
it's
I think we have
creating a siege mentality a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, they're trying to get to us. And it is it's like a virus. It spreads. People read it and it spreads, and the negativity spreads. And oh, thanks, Greg. I look better with that mustache. Fucking hell, Greg! I'm trying to force puberty, mate. I've been waiting so long. I'm getting to the point where I'm trying to take over, but I'll keep that much. Cheers, Greg.
Are you doing Movember?
Yeah, but I don't want to take this tiny little bit, like these few pubes on my chin, because I feel like it hides the double chin. So
yeah,
like,
I know what you mean. I'm the same. That's why I never get rid of the beard. I need to trim my beard actually.
But yeah, I'm trying. I could do November. I just look like a paedophile, I think, if I tried. But yeah, what was I saying before that? Sorry, come on.
A proper cool, like everyone I've got. About the players and about the fact that it's like if you know.
This is it. This is where we need to sort of like stay together and be united as a fan and at least see this season out, because I feel like we've written off the league already, but Carabao Cup, Europa League, FA Cup, I feel like it heavily relies on that, and it could be a really successful season. I mean, you look at Ten Hag and Man United, they were fucking shit during Ten Hag's tenure, but they won two League Cups and a League Cup and an FA Cup. They won 2 trophies. I'd give my third nut to win the Carabao Cup, let alone 2, like the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup. Like I mean, how? I mean, we just want to see some silverware, so we need to focus on that now. The Premier League, I've sort of given up, which isn't a good state to be in November. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And actually, it's stupid because we're only like 5 points away from top 4.
You were like 3 points off third.
Oh my god, we're back.
We're 10 points. We're 10.
If we beat Man City,
there is 4 points between 13th and 3rd. Like that is the reality of where the league is at. But that you know, it's all well and good sort of coming up with the ifs and that. So if we'd have beat, like the reality is, if we'd have beaten Leicester, Palace and Ipswich, we'd be second, like 4 points behind Liverpool. And I think that is so sort of telling of how the narrative would flip, because I think you could make an argument to suggest, based on the ceiling of what our performances have hit so far this season in some games, like Villa, I thought we were excellent against Brentford, for example, who, again, people say, oh, it's only Brentford at home, but Brentford are a very tricky customer in the Premier League. Man United away, etc. Newcastle, we were unlucky not to come out there with something. Like, in terms of the ceiling that our performances have sort of got to, if we ended up second in the league, or certainly like comfortably in the top 4, I don't think you could argue with that based on what you have actually seen in front of your eyes, despite the fact that there have been red flags and, you know, obviously imperfections there for sure. But on the flip side of that, you also deserve to be exactly where you are if you can play that well against those kind of teams, City, Villa, Man United, etc. But then putting a performance like that against Palace away and Ipswich and like the second half against Leicester and all that kind of stuff. So we deserve to be exactly where we are based off of that. But there are some still kind of really sort of encouraging signs there. We've scored more goals than Man City. We've let in the same amount of goals as Man City. They're second in the league and we're 10th. Like, it's, you know, it's a funny Premier League. It really is a funny Premier League.
It is weird. Yeah.
You shouldn't have, like I said, the reality is that we can't just deal in ifs and maybes. You have to look at where we are and say, like I said, we deserve to be there. Because I think when you look at the teams above us, like Villa, for example, not even necessarily Villa, I think that's a bad example. Like Fulham, for example, who are 2 points above us, they're 7th. They deserve to be there. Brighton deserve to be like where they are. You know, Forest deserve to be where they are. Arsenal, Chelsea, City, and Liverpool deserve to be where they are. Well, I mean, City have kind of got away with it, to be honest, in a lot of games. Even the ones that they won, but they've lost 4 in a row. So I think most of the teams above us kind of deserve to be there. So you have to take that into account as well. You can't just always look at you. But when you do look at us, there are clear things that need to be fixed. But there's a lot of stuff that's also going well. And we have been unlucky in certain cases. But I think the problem is that when the league is competitive as it is, that's when you look back to the summer window and say, we didn't sign enough game changers to, like, you know, to make sure in those tight games.
Massively.
And when the league is as tight as it is and can flip the league, realistically, right, this isn't going to happen. But Arsenal got Forest next, right? On the weekend, obviously 4th v 5th. If Arsenal lose, they could end up where we are, and we could end up in 3rd if we beat Man City. So the league can flip just like that. But that's where you need those game changers to be able to produce those moments in games for you where it's not. And look, I think Solanke has been an absolute game changer for Spurs. I think he really has. Like we've spoken about Solanke so much, and I've given him so much praise, and I genuinely don't even think that that's overstated. I don't think we're over-egging it with Solanke. I don't know how you feel. I think
I fucking love it, mate.
Same. And I think the perception might be from our outside is that, look, we're trying to go big on him because we're trying to justify the money spent. And that's not the reality at all. I really don't think it's that. I just, like with Solanke, I think it's all in front of your eyes. But what's so frustrating is that when Solanke is there, you can clearly see that the difference that can be made if you spend that money is there in front of your eyes. Like, if we'd have started the season, and obviously this is a massive if because he's never fucking fit, but say, for example, if Richarlison was starting in all the games instead of Solanke, this isn't a dig at Richie, but we would look considerably worse. Like, I just think we would. I think he's made that much of a difference. And I think there's been players for Spurs that have had really good seasons so far. And I don't think there's many players that I would say have been awful either. It's just that I think we're letting ourselves down in big moments. I think there was this narrative around Spurs last year that we couldn't defend. I think we tried to butt against quite a lot as a fan base because it was like, it's not nice to hear that about your own team. And I think people were being way too, reactionary about Spurs and the high line and all that kind of stuff and saying that we can't defend and all this shit. This year, I actually think it's true. It's far more true this year than it is last year because it's not even about, I thought the goals against Ipswich were pretty ugly from take away the defensive point of view of just like the box defending for both goals. I thought was shocking, really. Or maybe not even for the second goal. The first goal was horrific from a box defending point of view. But last season, I think it was so much about how teams were able to get to that point. This year, I think it's just that like we aren't giving up many big chances, but when we do give up chances, we just cannot defend those situations because we're not as easy to play through as we were last year. We're much better at pressing. If you look at the space, did you see that graphic the other day of like every team in the Premier League and the space that they allow on the pitch? It's like we were just like if it was like red, it meant that you are allowing like no space pretty much. And Spurs basically all over the pitch. It was like we are making it so hard for teams to play through us. But naturally, teams are, of course, going to get chances. But I thought last year we were defending our box better. It was just that we were giving up more chances in terms of actually being like teams being able to get through us, if you get what I mean. Whereas this year, I kind of feel like it's the opposite. When the ball comes into our box, there's no organisation. We're far too easy to play through down the wings. Everybody just freezes, and we allow so much space for teams to just effectively walk the ball into the goal or get a free header. It's just like,
we're seeing the same goal over and over again as well. That's what's like so infuriating. It's like a cross from one end to the other, back post. That it's either the person who crosses it isn't getting shut down
anywhere near quick enough. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, and then maybe the winger hasn't tracked the extra runner at the far post. They really target the far post for us. I know what you mean. The thing is, what you said about the transfer window. Actually, sorry, Greg's is just. I'm just acknowledging the comments because we are live. Proby the pig saying, "Of course, you go live when I'm working on my shit part-time job and I can't participate." Sorry, Proby. Greg's is saying Dyer is better than Radu. Yeah. We can get on to players in a minute. What do you think about the Dragusin like hate at the moment?
I think it was after the Ipswich game. I thought it was quite harsh. I thought he actually probably had a better game than Romero. Like, I don't think I've seen like, and this is also credit to Liam Delap, right? Because I thought that in terms of like an away, he's class. Like in terms of like an away centre forward performance for like a bottom team, coming to a big side to do a job. I know he scored it was obviously a scruffy goal, but he deserved it. He was absolutely brilliant, just like a battering ram. And I don't think I've seen Romero lose that many duels. And again, it wasn't even that Romero had a bad game either. It was just that he was getting bullied a lot by Delap.
Yeah.
Dragusin, like you look back to that second goal, and this is kind of where, look back at both goals really. Like Dragusin will get a lot of heat because of what's happened in the last few weeks, and the fact that obviously that goal, from a whole defensive point of view, was quite clumsy, right? And Vicario sort of makes a save, and then it hits Dragusin, and he can't really do anything about it, and then Delap scores. For me, Dragusin can't do anything about that. I genuinely don't think he can do much about that at all. I think you've got to look at what came before that and how they were allowed to just play through us. And I think Bentancur was unlucky because he tries to make that initial tackle on Hutchinson, and then he goes to ground again, which initially at the time I was like, why have you done that? Like, why have you gone to ground? You've made it so much easier for them to get away, for him to get away from you. And Hutchinson had a really good game as well. But I think he had to commit and make that tackle and try and bring him down and foul him, because if you look at the overlap on the left-hand side, they had 2 or 3 men that were just going. And it was like, then we were in real trouble. And Sarr and Kulusevski don't do anywhere near enough going back the other way to help Bentancur out and pick up that second ball, which I think is something that we have done really well. Because Bentancur, and again, we'll talk about Bentancur's ban, I guess, later and sort of how that might affect us, because that's obviously been confirmed today. But like, Bentancur, I think, has done so well this season about like, and again, like when you look at Bentancur and Bissouma, I don't think either of them have had bad seasons either. They might have had a couple of bad games here and there, but I think both of them have been fairly steady. Like, I think Bentancur especially has been really good at, when teams have been breaking on us, getting in with that tackle and like stopping the break. We've looked far less vulnerable on transition this year. And I think what we've done really well is there's always someone, whether it's Maddison or Sarr or Kulusevski or whatever, or whether it's Bentancur himself, to pick up that second ball and then go forward. Whereas Bentancur had no help there whatsoever. And then it was just Romero then just commits forward and we leave the spacing behind. Porro is too easy to play through. It's just it's a mess. So I think there's so much to analyse before it gets to Dragusin. The problem with the first goal as well is, you sort of alluded to it earlier in terms of like allowing way too much time on the cross. I can't remember who crossed it in, whether it was Ben Johnson or I don't think it was Twans. Is it Twanzebe, the fullback they've got? Because Ben Johnson played. Twanzebe. But I think it was, or it might have been the centre midfielder that I can't remember the name of. But whoever it was allowed to put their foot on the ball. Like, Son gets done way too easy. And then when it gets back to that point, Dragusin's defending the left back position. You've got both of your fullbacks defending centre half positions with Romero in there as well. We allow far too much time for the cross to come in the first place. Johnson doesn't do enough. It's just a mess, like an absolute mess. And how much of that is I know obviously it's not good that we concede in the same goal a lot of the time, where it comes down our left-hand side and the ball comes into the box. Is that tactics, or is that just terrible defending from a personnel perspective? I don't know. Obviously, there is a pattern there that is emerging. But I look back at some of the goals this season. I just don't see how many of them are from a system failing. Do you know what I mean? Like, as a result of the system failing. I think it's just like bad defending and bad decision making and bad individual errors. Like, and that obviously comes back to the Ange thing of just like, this is why I think, as much as we can be frustrated with him, I think I don't know how much of it is on him. It's down to him to change it, obviously. But in these games, and if it keeps happening, obviously, then you've got to look at the manager. But it just baffles me how easy we are to in those situations. Like,
well, the thing about Dragusin, I thought it was a nice segue, because we're going into January. We're actually going to bring you, like, we're going to go through January and the summer of 2025 and sort of plan out our transfers, or like me and Ben are going to have our own sort of ins and outs that we're going to do. But I mean, Dragusin, he really sums up. And I mean, we're going into January. Obviously, it was Lange's first window, and he brought in Werner, Dragusin. And I think, was it Billy saying that's the concern for me, that not all these players are fully bought into Ange's system. But a lot of these players, like Dragusin, they don't fit. He doesn't fit Ange's system. Like, he doesn't. So that, and obviously going into January, we need reinforcement. We really need backing. I am worried. We haven't got enough evidence right now that he can, Ange can be competent and sign the right players for the right system. I think. I don't think he's getting enough heat at the moment, because the trajectory we were on when obviously we had Paratici, who was the advisor, and then Gabbiadini, and then was it Gabbiadini, and then we is that how you say it? Gabbiadini, that chief scout that sort of took over during that summer. I mean, and then obviously Lange's come in, and I am worried, because the only player that's come in and you're thinking, okay, instantly like improves the team is Solanke, and I mean, the thing about Postecoglou is you can trust him with big budget recruitment. I think Solanke is perfect. Like, he epitomizes that. Johnson, I think it's up for debate, but the numbers and the way he plays in this Ange system, I think see it. Like, you can see it. I think it's justifiable that we spent that much money on him.
I agree.
I have full trust in Postecoglou with big signings. The only thing is, though, we go so big on the pitch, the club need to go. We need to be in tangent from bottom to top. So that's players, manager, coaches, and the board. And when we're recruiting players, we need to go, if we're going big on a pitch, we need to go big on the market. And I know that's way easier said than done, but we need to be looking for those players that can grab a game by the scruff of the neck, like you're saying, and pull us through times where we're a little bit slow, we're not up for it as much, or the intensity isn't there and they start to drop, and they can really pull us out of the rough. Because how many points would we have if we had a player like, I know it's stupid because these players are so rare, but I mean, Cole Palmer was bought from Man City for 40 odd mil.
Yeah.
How many points, if we had a Cole Palmer in our squad, how many extra points would we have? Fucking loads more. He carried Chelsea last season individually.
It's game changers.
Like, so we need to go big. My concern is that we're not going to, and then I feel like Postecoglou's being set up for failure, like he is. I don't think we're going to see the end of this project, because this is a 3-4 year project under Ange. I'm seeing the sort of cracks already, the fragilities, and I think he's been set up to fail. One signing that comes in and actually improves the squad isn't enough when all the teams around us are buying big and are really increasing the sort of level of the squad. And I find it really, really frustrating because I don't have another rebuild in me, mate.
Yeah. To be clear, you're talking about this summer, though, right? You're talking about not because last summer, obviously, like when we brought those players in, I think we were all
this summer.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. Like again, when it comes to the transfer windows, like I was happy with all of the profiles and all the players individually that were brought in, especially Solanke. Obviously, I mean we've talked enough about Solanke, but it's what we didn't do is what will define it rather than what we did do, in my opinion. And I think we said that from August, didn't we? I think we were all kind of expecting that another part of it is the wages as well. That's the killer. I know there was obviously that stuff that came out about the reason that we didn't sign Gallagher and Eze was because of the wages. I'm not sure how much I believe that in those specific cases, because Eze, who I think Greg's just referred to in the chat there, Palmer's class, but I'd be satisfied enough with Eze. Mate, I think we all would have been. It would have felt like a big enough signing. And you could kind of see the vision of probably why we wanted to do that, even more so now with playing with the 210s, etc. Blah, blah, blah. But I don't really buy into the wages thing with Gallagher and Eze. I think there were much more defining factors as to why they didn't come to Spurs. But I believe it for all of the other signings that we probably missed out on, or all of the other signings that we'll probably miss out on going forward, because the reality is that we don't pay the wages. We don't pay the wages. We're probably prepared to splash the money around if we can, as long as we can stagger the payments over however long, which again isn't just a Spurs thing or a Levy thing. A lot of clubs do that, of course. We just, for a London club with the projection and the potential trajectory that we could have with the stadium and how sustainable that makes us and everything like that, and some of the other players that we've got in the squad, we don't pay the wages to justify those players buying into that vision of where we want to go. That's the reality of what it is, I think. And I think it's not, and that's why, like you said, I think Ange is being dealt he's been dealt a very short hand, I think, in a lot of it. I think he can do a good job with the squad that he's got. And I think there's an argument to suggest he probably should be getting more out of those players, absolutely, to make us more consistent. But also he needs more. He absolutely needs more. And needs ready players. He needs players that are ready. This summer was part of obviously ongoing rebuild of buying players for the future, and 100%. And I'm not slating that. I'm not giving up on any of those players. I say giving up, you know what I mean? But what do you want to be? What do you want to be? You have to go and sign more Solankes. They're going to cost you more money, but also it means that you don't have to go and buy a load of them. You could go and buy one sort of big player like that, every 1 or 2 big players like that every window if you really need it. Because it might mean that in a year's time you don't need to do that. Like if we'd have bought in a Neto, for example, this summer, which obviously we did try to do, or an Eze, it might mean that you don't necessarily need to do that again next summer. I know it's all about always building the squad and always having that competitiveness.
I know what you mean, though.
But it's just, fuck knows. I just think we let ourselves down. I feel like we let ourselves down with some of definitely.
Well, that's the thing. I feel like we've got such an exciting project, and the signs were there, and the trajectory was there. But I mean, we haven't backed it up as a club. And I mean, I'm getting to the point where we're linked with another youth player or a prospect player. I actually get pissed off because how many do we want? We can't even develop Archie Gray, really, Lucas Bergvall at the moment, because our squad's so stacked. Which I think is frustrating. I mean, obviously, time will tell. It's like a few months into the season, but you can't really see the sort of pathways for them at the moment. So that's why Archie Gray's playing the majority of minutes at fullback. I know a lot of people don't mind that. A lot of people disagree with that.
I don't have. I thought it's worth. I don't have a problem with that.
I've
I
seen
think the
both
grey
ways.
fullback. Yeah, I think the grey fullback thing is way overblown. I do genuinely believe
Yeah.
that, and that's not me just like fucking sticking up for Ange or whatever. Like, I really don't think it matters that much. Obviously, we all want to see him in midfield, and obviously now with Bentancur's ban, there is more likely a chance that he's probably going to get more minutes there. But I think to suggest from some people that suggest that it's really stagnating his development, he's fucking 18 years old.
Yeah,
him
he's
playing
got
at
so
fullback
much time.
is not gonna.
Yeah.
He might having a few bad games or having moments where he suffers. That's not going to do his development any harm. Actually, it might make it actually progress a little bit more because you have to suffer to go through that development. I think in a way, it's not as if he's.
Yeah,
he's not having bad games either. I think he's just getting moments where he's exposed because he probably can't play. You're asking a lot of him to play in that position. So I don't.
It's one of the hardest positions in the world as well, because in this system, because you're everywhere. You are everywhere, but then you have to be there to mark up the winger. Yeah, no, 100%. But yeah, we need players. Greg said we need players for now, not for 10 years' time. And my worry and my doubt creeps in because I'm looking at the clubs that are eclipsing us right now, like Chelsea potentially this season, Aston Villa, Newcastle. I feel like we're sort of head to head with Newcastle at the moment, and Spurs Kings saying we need to make choices as a club. Like, do we want to be a Champions League club or best of the rest? We are dropping. We are again. I don't want to be reactionary because, like you said, we're 3 points away from top three. But it's who we've got to play, who we've played, and who we've still got to play for this season. It's a long season, and so I think that's where the doubt's coming in. You're looking forward and thinking, "Oh my god, how many points are we going to pick up there? Where are we going to be at the end of the season if we're seeing this now?" And I'm worried because I can't see us getting back up from the board, from Johan Lange, like from his track record so far for Spurs. I can't see us kicking on, and that's what we need to do. We need to kick on. So I don't know. By the way, Spurs Kings TV. I was part of a video which was interesting to watch. It was on Ange. Go watch that if you haven't already. But yeah, it was an interesting video seeing sort of where Spurs fans are sitting with what Ange has achieved so far and what we can achieve in the future. But I don't see it as Ange. I know there's a lot of fragilities of the system at the moment, but I just feel like you're going to be big on a pitch. You've got to be big in recruitment, and we aren't. And it's like, I'm trying to think of an analogy. What analogy would you sort of say this about Spurs right now?
In what sense? Like,
don't know. Let me try and think. Like it's like I don't know. It's almost mocking it's mocking Ange when we're not when we as fans we're backing him to the hills, yeah, and then we look at the people that his future's in his hands, yeah, and they're not helping him at all. I'm trying to think of that. It's like,
yeah, I know what you mean. You're undermining it. He's kind of being undermined a little bit, isn't he?
Yeah. It's like a school fight, and you've got loads of people that are like egging it on and saying, "Yeah, like it's like when they're saying, "Oh, we got our Tottenham back," and because Ange Postecoglou is playing brilliant football, yeah, and it's getting people excited. It's like someone saying there's a fight at school, and people being like, "Yeah," like and egging it on, and then when the guy gets absolutely dropped, everyone's like, "Oh fuck," and then that's a shit analogy, isn't it?
I know what you mean, though.
I need to think. I need to better these analogies. But let's move on to some of the questions you asked. Everyone in the chat, if you haven't asked the question already, you feel free to answer more questions. But first question is from Gary Hunter. You don't fall off cliffs or climb mountains in 1 week. Do you think the overarching reaction to this season is overblown? We knew going into the Ange era that it would be a roller coaster, and I feel as a fan base we are claiming that we would be prepared to ride out the tough results. Projects take time. We are still in the infancy of Ange's era. It feels like a section of the fan base is expecting too much this early on. How far do you agree with that, Ben?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that to an extent, obviously, because I think that we obviously we all said that we're all up for a rebuild, and then I feel like there is a section of the fan base that's like, again, you're entitled to feel how you want to feel, that kind of pissed the bed after like a few defeats, and it's like, we're not going anywhere. Like, it's what's the point? Blah blah blah. But obviously, the inconsistency has kind of manifested itself now over like a longer period of time. So obviously, there are red flags and warning signs or like concerns there for sure. But yeah, you don't. Ange right. Ange was right when he said that, because I think he said that after Villa, didn't he? Where it was like, last week against Palace, we were at rock bottom, and now, we're the great thing since sliced bread. Obviously, that the problem is that is the natural, like, that is the nature of modern football fandom, isn't it? To an extent, like, that is how a lot of you're either like amazing or you're just shit. Like, and if you win one game, you're all the way up here. But that is kind of how you just feel as a fan. And especially with the nature of the defeats that we've had, they have been like 3 just gut punches. It's not like it's not like if some of the defeats were like Newcastle, for example, where it was just like, we're just unlucky. Like, if Brighton away was like Newcastle, where it was like we battered them and then we just got a bit unlucky, I think we could take it. Palace similar as well, although we should be beating Palace in terms of where they are. Ipswich again, I think losing to Ipswich at home under any circumstances, even if their goalkeeper has makes 25 saves and is the greatest thing since sliced bread, obviously it's still going to hurt in the same way, obviously. But it's the manner in which those defeats have come about which makes everything more frustrating. But Ange is right, and I think that's still a good way to look at things, in a sense. I feel like, but then again, that just does show you that there is that inconsistency there. Although I agree with what Ange is saying, he's kind of feeding it back into that fact that we are inconsistent, and that's the biggest problem. But that's down to him to fix. I thought he sounded quite downbeat after the Ipswich game, to be honest. But well, you wouldn't be. Well, you no.
Like, I feel like we all were.
Yeah.
I do get worried when we lose to Ipswich. I know it's on the majority of it is, I guess, on the players. I mean, obviously, you can Ange deserves criticism for a lot of these defeats, but I do get worried that a lot of players might check out this early in the season. Like, if we're losing games like that, like say we go to lose against Man City, and then who's next?
Fulham.
I do get worried that we've dropped quite a lot of points already this season. I know we're still in the running, but we've got some big games to play. I feel like I'm scared players might check out, and that's not fair on Ange. I'll back Ange above everyone at the club. Players,
me same.
Board, everything. But I just don't see him getting the reinforcements and the backup he needs. He does need help, but this is the sort of like complexity of the situation. Is if he's not getting the help, is there certain things that he can do to try and help himself? Because I know he's so gung-ho and we love it, but sometimes some of the play, I don't see him having a completed project. I really don't see him getting to that stage. So like, is there a worry? Do you think maybe he needs to do something about? I do feel like last season it was so extreme and it's so drastic, and the juxtaposition of Conte, Mourinho, Nuno, Stellini to this Ange Postecoglou fearless way of we're going to attack. I feel like now we're getting to the point where some fans are thinking, can we get an in-between? Does it have to be so drastic?
Yeah.
Does it have to be so defensive or so attacking? Is there certain things we can do? And it does get, it is getting a bit frustrating when we're conceding really weak goals. But
well, look at Liverpool, for example. Look at the sweet spot they've found of just like,
exactly. Yeah,
like the balance of the pragmatism and the attack of football there has been amazing. Like, look at the clean sheets that they've kept. I mean, they've got Van Dijk and Konate as a centre back partnership, to be fair, with all due respect. And they've got world class attackers, which we don't have. Well, I mean, depends what you think about Sonny, but yeah, I think there's a balance to be had in between that. And I think, to be honest, underlying numbers and stuff and that would suggest that we probably are. There is more of a balance than there was last year. I do think that, and I think we've become a better rounded side. I just think that actually some of the defending in itself has been worse than it was last year. I do think we're seeing good things. I think we're seeing probably maybe a bit more of a balance. It's just that the results aren't necessarily backing that up, I think.
Yeah.
Especially the results against those kind of sides.
Yeah, no, yeah, 100%. Jackie Nicout says, Now that our biggest defensive issue from last season, transitions, has been improved significantly, how can we look to improve on our biggest issue now? Crosses from both open play and set pieces. Can this be done with our current personnel, or do we need signings to solve it? I think this is a signing issue, mate. Like, I genuinely feel like we need to keep playing how we play, and have that same mindset. But we need to start implementing things to help some of our players, because they are not quite at the level we want them to be. Some of these players, they're good players, but they're not world beaters, world class. I mean, I'm saying this like that is so only a few clubs only have those like bundles of players like that. I don't see us ever I don't see us ever achieving that level of squad, but I do think to help these players, we need to implement certain things. Like I think a double pivot might help us. I know we may lose something going forward, but we may have that bit of stability. I think a player like Johnny Cardoso is a must. Like I do. I think we need that sort of anchor, destroyer, holding midfielder. Yeah. And then I feel like we need a mixture. I mean, we're going to go into the recruitment side of it, but I feel like we need a mix. I think we need someone that could be a deep line playmaker in that Maddison role that also can play 6 in a weird way.
Yeah.
Like an Angelo Stiller would be perfect for us.
Yeah, he really would.
Someone who could have played passing range, almost like a Tony Kroos. And who can play, who is press resistant, who can play aside a destroyer, because he could come deep. Obviously, Ange wants our 6 coming deep and being like pivotal in that build-up play, like in our own box. He could do that, and you could have someone next to him that just destroys people. I know Jack's saying we're getting better on transition, but just be that a little bit more physical. And shut down crosses from deep. Be it also a physical presence for set pieces, etc. I think a lot of this is personnel. I think that some of the goals we're seeing are really soft, and I know that sounds like really gammon, and it's not really like a detailed description of why we're conceding so many goals. But we are, a lot of the time, no one's just wiping a player out, like just taking one for the team and wiping a player out, or just destroying an attacking midfielder when they're going forward against us and we're retreating. But I feel like we need to there's certain things we need to sort of implement to sort of just help these players out. And that, I think that comes in through recruitment. But I was thinking about this the other day. Do you think the best football we've played is when we've done something different and not been like we need to score as many goals as possible, but we've sort of implemented a system, or players come in to sort of help the defense, or to help certain scenarios on the pitch. Like Man City, I know we lost, but we didn't really have the 12th man of being at home, because it was a really anxious game, and because we all know why.
I think we did though. I think they kind of got. I think the fans got behind the team because they realised that they had to suffer to go through that and get the victory. Like I think there's a part of that for sure.
Yeah, I feel like when we play a different system, or tweak it, we actually play a bit better in transition, or when we haven't got as much possession as the other team. Do you know what I mean? I know most of these games I'm talking about is like Man City, but there's been certain games where we've set up differently. We've played to not have the ball, but we've still controlled the game, and we look more deadly, I think, and a little bit more solid.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that or not?
I think so. But then again, it's like I saw someone, who was it, that left a comment in the chat earlier about where was it? Jonah Cole said, "Love the pod. Quick question for you all. As good as Sarri's playing, do you think we should go back to the Kulu Madders midfield when we go up against low block teams like Ipswich, Leicester, etc.?" I think that's something. It's so hard because I can't actually remember how that relates to the original question that you just said. In terms of doing something different, obviously we tried that at the start of the season. I actually think that, do you know what really annoys me? I do feel like there is this debate that we have after every single game about how we should set up in terms of the midfield. Obviously, Sarr has proved himself to be so crucial for us, but Leicester, Ipswich on last Sunday, I couldn't understand why Maddison didn't come on. It just didn't make any sense to me.
84th minute,
84th minute, yeah, it just didn't make any sense to me, and it felt like one that we maybe should have used him from the start. To kind of help unlock that block. So we've got different answers in the squad for sure to be able to do different things. But maybe there is something in that we have played better when we've tried something new. Obviously, I think City, we obviously adapted to how they were going to play, went with more of a double pivot and kind of left Kulusevski to just get close to Solanke and kind of play more as an out-and-out 10. And we're obviously, the thing is, with what Sarr gives you that is good when we do play a bit more of a double pivot is that he hasn't got the quality in the final third, but he's still got the legs to get you up to the pitch in those kind of positions and then give it to someone who is able to have more of an end product like Kulu, like Sonny, whoever. But then I think you do lose something when you don't play Maddison. You talked earlier about that deep line playmaker. Yeah. I actually think that Maddison can be that. I do think he can be that. I think he's been better this season when he's played that little bit deeper, just knitting everything together. Someone who's a bit calmer on the ball and has got the quality. And I think his off-the-ball work has improved as well. But the problem is that you're also having to manage the ego of someone like that is not going to want to sit on the bench. And obviously, I don't know. It's a really tricky one as to kind of.
I don't know if he's consistent enough to play that either, though. Like, so on his day, he's like the best player on the pitch. He's so.
Do you think he's? I think Maddison's. I think the narrative around Maddison this season has actually been so weird. I actually think, other than Galatasaray, where I thought he had a poor game, he did really have a poor game.
Yeah.
I don't think he's had many bad games at all this season. Yeah, he has been inconsistent over the time that he's been at Spurs. But I think if you isolate it to this season, other than Galatasaray and maybe. I don't know, maybe Arsenal, where it felt like he didn't do enough in that game. I don't think he's had many bad games at all. I think he's actually been quite consistently one of our better players.
I know what you mean, because it's like the narrative was he got hooked off at West Ham and he hasn't really played since. Like he hasn't been in the starting lineup since, which isn't true. It was just a systematic fit. Sarr comes on and we play a little bit more transitional and we destroyed West Ham in that second half. I do know what you mean. I just get frustrated with Maddison because I feel like I know confidence is key, but he comes out and he'll say something like that we all love. He'll say something really ambitious, and then a lot of the time we'll go missing in the next game. I don't know. I just find him a bit frustrating because. It's weird. Sorry, this is such a fucking messy pod, but this is like a discourse of like every emotion and every feeling we're feeling at the moment, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit of a reset pod. But when it comes to like Maddison, I think it was those first 10 games last season, we thought he was going to be that game changer, and he hasn't really been that. So when he does have a game where he hasn't reached those levels, we question him. Like he's almost like a victim of his own ability. Do you know what I mean? Like if he's not a 10 out of 10, we're like, oh, he was a bit quiet, and I'm aware of that. I just said he frustrates me, but he's not consistent enough. But I don't know. I feel like there's a narrative. You know what? You make a good point because he has. If you think about if you put each game in isolation, he does perform quite well. I just think I think we need. It's either Maddison who we lose a lot when Maddison's playing, and we lose a lot when Sarr's playing. In different ways, and I feel like we can buy a player that is both of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. I think
Maddison, it solves both issues.
Yeah, I think it's hard. Maddison is a player that will never escape the narrative and the noise around him because of like his persona and the way that I think he does put himself into the firing line a little bit too much. Obviously, in the sense of that, like you kind of referred to earlier, with the way that he opens his mouth and says things that the fans really want to hear, but then doesn't necessarily back it up. And that's why I was really frustrated with him after the Arsenal game. But again, in the Arsenal game, it wasn't like he was bad. It was just that, well, we were expecting this big performance from you where you put the team on your back and be that guy. And I think we've been waiting for Maddison to be that guy. And I think he showed that in games this season for sure. It's just like, I don't know. I do think Billy Price made a good point there about his ball striking being underwhelming. I think that's true. But he's had a far from awful season. Does Matthew Sapola said, does Maddison lack athleticism and strength in the midfield hinder what he brings to the team? I think he's played well, but I feel like that's the biggest reason why he's been dropped. Maybe, potentially, because I do think there's so much more emphasis on Spurs being good on transition this year, and I don't think Maddison necessarily gives you the same as what Sarr gives you in that aspect in terms of being able to win the ball back and turn teams over and do what we did to Villa, etc. Obviously. But yeah, it's a really tough one. He's a great profile to have in the squad because I do think when we spoke about the game changes earlier, I do think when he's playing at that level, I think he can be that. but it's just about squeezing that level out of him on a more consistent basis. But then are you going to get that if you're not playing him every game? It's a really tough one with Maddison. I don't really know the best way around it.
My frustration is, I think when we signed him, it was like, oh my God, what a signing for this sort of like project. Now you're looking at it and he's 27 and I can't see him surpassing this level. Like I feel like he's already reached his peak. So I think that's the frustration about it. It's like, well, this is him now. So going forward, is he one of the most pivotal players in the first team, or is there a player more suited to play that like a deep line midfield role that has a higher potential as well?
Yeah, probably. I think, like you said, someone like Stiller, maybe. I think that could be. Billy Price said he's a luxury player, but not necessarily a jack of all trades, and that's probably a fair assessment. I think maybe. But again, it's also good to have those luxury players in and around your squad. Like you wouldn't necessarily say that Kulusevski is a luxury player. Is he as creative as Maddison on a consistent level? Probably not. But does he give you more than Maddison on a more consistent level? Probably. So it's a tough one. And that midfield, I think, obviously we need to sort the defensive side of things out. That's the biggest concern. Attacking, going forward, like you're going to have games where you miss chances, etc. Like, but even if you do miss those chances that Johnson missed and Werner missed and Solanke missed at the end against Ipswich, there's still a world in which you should be winning that game at worst 1-0 without letting them score and keeping a clean sheet. Do you know what I mean? So it's like the attacking side of the game, I think, is coming together quite nicely. But yeah.
What? So we're gonna do our like ins and outs. We'll do that now. But just before we do that, actually, what is there an element that you think there's certain players that maybe we don't want to leave, may leave before the end of this sort of project under Ange? Like Sammy says, Ben, you're cute.
Thanks, Sammy.
Do you reckon there's players that may not see the end of this Ange era that right now we feel like our most pivotal players one of our most pivotal players in the squad, like Romero? I think there's a lot of talk about Romero possibly leaving at the end of the season, etc. Or maybe a Vicario, maybe there's a Porro. I really don't like I saw this yesterday and I saw you tweeted about it. I really don't like us like turning players or really exacerbating an issue by really like focusing on it, like Vicario's goalkeeping recently with the early game where it was like he
none of the goals were his fault,
and then he scored no goal. So watch the game. Yeah, I know, and that's my worry. Is like we've got such young players. Vicario is really young for a goalkeeper. Yeah, he's got his limitations, but you don't jump on his weaknesses and try and like ignore what he's really good at. Like, do you know what I mean? But I feel like I hate this. I hate this about when we go through a little bit of a rough patch. The players get a pile on. Ange gets a pile on. The board gets a pile on. Then we're back to square one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I get the board. I think that's justifiable. You can get frustrated at the players and the manager, but that's all we got.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like these are the players we've got. Let's fucking let's not make posts on Instagram about scapegoat. It's allowing people. It's almost like we were saying, who's going to be the scapegoat this season at the end of the season? Because Højbjerg left, Emerson left, Dyer left, Sanchez left, and now it's almost like we're looking for a new scapegoat.
Yeah, and I said that.
I thought it'd be Vicario or Romero or. I mean, I thought it'd be like a Werner and like even now we've signed a player and they've become a new scapegoat. Dragusin will definitely be a scapegoat now.
Yeah,
I actually went under the radar. He was looking like the first target.
Yeah, and also like with Werner, did you see the stuff about apparently Spurs might? I think it's a load of shit, but cancel the loan in January. I actually thought Werner was all right. I know he missed that chance. He was like leaning back and it was like, for fuck's sake, and he blazed it over the bar. I actually thought he made a difference on Sunday when he came on. I thought he was all right. I don't know. It's frustrating because it's like he's not
young.
Yeah, but then it's like the thing about like letting Werner go and bringing in Yang, like that doesn't make any sense. Like if you got Werner to the end of the season anyway, bear in mind Yang's only 18. Why would you send Werner? If we send Werner back in January and we don't bring someone in and it's just Yang, that is fucking stupid. And I know people don't like.
It has to be someone coming in.
It has to be. It can't be Yang. It just can't. I don't look for what it's worth. I don't think the club will do that, but. I've seen people almost advocating for that. It's fucking like, what do you want? Really? What do you want? I think Greg says right. I think Werner is actually doing his job, but also his job is to be more ruthless and clinical in front of goal. But he's never been that since he's moved to England, so it's a tough one.
Well, I think that's like indicative, like from like my point of he hasn't been backed post-Collingwood, because I know we've had a few injuries. You can't rely on Yang, you can't rely on Odeberg and more, because they're so young. Richarlison's injury prone, and this system would break David Goggins, mate. Like genuinely, everyone's getting injured. It's such a demand on the body. We're already in November. We've got all these injuries, and I mean we've always had a bad track record with our medical staff, but I think when we're 1-0, 2-0 down to Ipswich and we bring on Timo Werner, it's like, I know maybe possibly wanted them because he's a big player, but he's so limited and we got him on a loan. It's like, how are you going to progress? I know I said before, he's like a long lay loan where you've got someone coming in, you know they're going to come in and improve squad, but they're not quite ready. So Mikey Moore is who I'm thinking of, or Yang, etc. They're not quite ready yet, but let's try and slowly integrate them as a player there for a stopgap in Timo Werner. But I got it's limited. It's putting a limitation on the club and this season. And it's almost like we're looking at 5 years time, thinking, "Fucking hell, look at our team, our prospect and our team in 5 years." But Ange might not even be there in 5 years because the team now is probably going to let him down. But yeah, what do you think? Because I'm a little bit worried that Romero might leave, and I think a lot of people are sort of coming to. I think they're accepting almost that he probably might. He probably will. Do you think he will?
Yeah. Wait, sorry, what was that about Yang?
No, Romero. Do you think he'll leave?
Oh,
at the end of the season, potentially.
Yeah, potentially. I do think there's a chance that happens.
How do you feel about it?
I don't think he's as replaceable as some people are making out, to be honest. I think because people are getting frustrated with him because I think it would take a lot to replace someone like that. And I know he's not been performing at kind of the consistent level that maybe we wanted, or certainly was last season. Yeah, it's a tricky one, because I saw we were looking at someone like Jonathan Tarr, but again, it's on a free, and I just don't think Tarr is anywhere near mobile enough to, like, again, good defender for sure. He's not the slowest, but it's like Romero is such a he's so good in the build up for us, and people just don't appreciate it. Defensively, yes, he's let himself down, I think, at times this season, but replacing him will be a lot harder than people think, I think.
Yeah, I feel like it will be like Porro or Romero, and I feel like, I know people get frustrated with them, but I feel like it still would be 2 steps back, and then we'll probably replace them with someone who's still got a bit of potential, and then they'll have to sort of learn the system, etc., learn the Premier League if they've come from a different league, and then you're back to square one. Like, we need to do everything we can to make sure Romero signs a new contract, but when we're capping wages, is that going to happen? He should be on the same amount as Son, in my opinion. I know a lot of people get frustrated with him, but he's still so pivotal and significant in our first team. So, and yeah, Greg's saying, like, people have been talking about Dragusin coming in for Romero, and saying, yeah, this should happen because Romero's been so poor. Mate, the drop off from Romero to Dragusin is so severe.
Yeah.
And that's, let's be honest, this is Spurs we're talking about. That will be the replacement probably, or it will be someone to that level who's young, has potential. Romero is so unique, and he's such an unbelievable defender. I know he's had his sort of his downs this season, but he's still one of our best players. Like, you don't want to sell your best players.
No.
But so Ben, can I just apologise, by the way, Rob, because I haven't actually let my emotions out. This has all been in me for since the Ipswich game. So when was that? Like 8 days?
Last
8
Sunday.
days. So
yeah.
So a lot of what I'm saying is almost like it's like a catharsis. And I'm thanks for listening, because I feel like in some areas I'm waffling, in some areas I'm just getting all my emotions out and all my thought processes out. I haven't been able to speak to anyone about this, so it's like a discourse. This pod, but we're gonna. I feel like let's move on now. We're gonna do something a little bit more fun, a little bit more optimistic. we're gonna look at the squad. We're gonna go through keep or sell for the next 2 windows, and then we're gonna see who comes in because our squad's stacked, so we can't just bring in players. I know there's a lot of limitations of what we can do when it comes to sort of squad club trained players, etc. But this is just like a conceptual thing. I don't want to go too much into detail, but so Vicario, keep, Forster in the next 2 windows.
Has to go, blood.
He has to go, blood.
He literally has to go.
Austin and Whiteman. They'll do them as a pair, mate.
Yeah, it is what it is with them two.
I don't care with them.
Not really.
Yeah, whatever happens. Because we've got Luke Gunter and we've got Josh Keeley coming through. In January, at least the summer, we have to bring in a young up-and-coming goalkeeper who can back up, who is a competent backup, who fits the system. I'll tell you what is interesting. It's like there is a lot of Forster can leave tomorrow. Yeah, there is a lot of discourse around Vicario's ability. Do you think we'd ever have a scenario where, you know how Arsenal had Ramsdale and everyone was like, yeah, Ramsdale's good enough, and then they brought in Raya and it was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Should we ever see us do anything like that?
100%. Well, I think we should. And that again, that's not to say that Vicario should be upgraded, etc. I get it. But I think if we're going to make a goalkeeper signing, I think it has to be someone that can compete with him, not necessarily just be the backup. I think signing a backup
should be the ambition, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Someone that could potentially overtake him.
Yeah. You got anyone on top of your mind?
Not really.
I don't really know anything.
Really I've got some for other positions, but not really a goalkeeper.
Yeah. Oh my god! Just saw Regulon as the defender.
That was a jump scare.
I forgot he was fucking still alive.
Someone said, Greg said bring Kelleher. That should be, I think, quite smart.
That would be a very good sign. Yeah, that would be a smart sign because they're getting Mama Dashvili, aren't they?
Yeah,
they're getting him in by the end of the season. I think that'd be a really good signing. Yeah, that would be. So Regulon obviously leaving, he'll be gone. Dragusin, January in the summer, keep or sell.
To be honest, I'm not in a rush to sell Dragusin. I just think we need to bring someone else in that can be more of a ball player as well. I wouldn't say sell him
What if he is a stopgap? Voskovic is coming in, maybe we sign a left centre back.
Yeah, potentially. But then again, it's like we're always pinning our hopes on a fucking 18-year-old again. It's like you still need to sign someone. Unless if we sell Dragusin and replace him with someone that is more capable on the ball, and then we use it as an opportunity to blood Vuskovic, I think that's fine. But I still think I'd still probably lean towards signing someone who I centre backs. Yeah. I don't really know. I don't really know in terms of centre back targets.
Because we could sign a say Vuskovic comes in. And this is who we've been waiting for in the summer, and he is not ready in any way, shape, or form in the summer. And then we're back to square one. And be like, oh my god, this whole projected trajectory that we've thought we were going to be on we're not there yet because Vuskovic isn't ready. We need another loan, maybe another 2 seasons alone. Then we're like, okay, we've just got Dragusin again as backup. We need to get in a left centre back, but we'll get into that. A doggy keep Romero and Porro.
Yeah, keep. Yeah, absolutely.
Keep. Yeah. Jed Spence.
Yeah, I want to see more from Spence. I said it in the Ipswich game. I think he should have played. Porro's getting on my fucking nerves a bit. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Porro's one of those players where I feel like I've gone full this geezer cannot defend. But I don't know. That's just reactionary. I do really like Porro. But yeah, it's
yeah.
Van Heck will be really priced. That's a great shout.
Van Heck. Oh my god! I love Van Heck. And there are a few defenders that come in. I don't even think there's that many left-footed centre backs that we can get that would do the job. Or there's not a market where a left-sided centre back is. That's the thing. That's the debate: is how ambitious are we going to be when we bring these players in? Are we going to spend big money on someone who looks, from the outside perspective, like a fourth choice centre back, which they shouldn't be? They should be competing. I mean, Van der Ven can play left back now and again. Obviously, he's vital for the system, so he probably won't. Or sign a player like Dorgu who can play left centre back and left back, and then Obviously, Vuskovic is coming in. It's just added depth. But Davis is going. He's gone. Alfie Dorrington probably needs a loan. Van de Ven's going to stay. Okay, Bissouma.
Oh no!
What?
Oh, we're back. No, I thought you'd gone there for a sec. Bissouma. If we can, I don't know. I wouldn't be in any rush to get rid of Bissouma, but I do think to maybe bring someone else in that position, and maybe think Bentancur or Bissouma maybe have to go, especially if we're bringing in Cardozo as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Because I think you could. What you're saying earlier,
I think I'd get rid of. Go on.
I think I'd probably lean towards selling Bentancur.
Really, I'd lean towards selling Bissouma.
To be honest, I don't think there's much in it.
It's a flip of the coin, isn't it?
I think it is a bit of a flip.
No, I don't think so.
I don't really know why. But like I said,
it's similar though. That's the thing. It's one or the other, I think.
Yeah, if you're bringing in Cardozo, I think it frees you up to maybe move one of them on and then bring in someone like you said earlier, like a Ange Stiller or someone like that, who's a bit more of a ball playing sort of deep line playmaker, who can be physical as well, but is press resistant. Has got like a sort of a longer range of passing as well.
Yeah, because that's the thing. I mean, the Man United, what's his name, H, for Man United fan, he was talking about that he was sort of looking at solutions on the overlap, for like the ways we can improve our game plan and long balls into Solanke, not long balls, but sort of like higher balls in Solanke because he's so physical and so good at holding the ball up, could be a way for us to sort of bypass pressure, which we're not going to do probably under Postecoglou, but if we have someone like Angelo Stille or someone on that sort of profile player, there could be a lot of solutions. So, yeah, I don't know. James Maddison.
Yeah, if you cut out a little bit there, but Greg said there is Cardozo much improvement from Biss or Bentancur. We don't know. The reality is that we don't know yet. We can't judge that until we actually come. So, yeah, he's a profile that we need for sure, but it's just about how high that ceiling is and how good he is. But we're not going to know that until he actually comes. From what you've seen so far at Betis, it looks pretty good. So you can't judge him until he actually turns up.
Yeah, Maddison, what are you thinking?
It's a difficult one. I said it at the start of the season. I do feel like this is a massive crossroads kind of season in Maddison's career. I don't want to actively look to push him out the door, but I've said it many times. The kind of signing that I think I've got myself convinced on that I think would be amazing for Spurs, who could take up Maddison's position, is Cunha. I think Cunha would just be. But the thing is with Cunha, I don't think people realise how good he actually is. So I think
he's so good.
I think that it would be an Arsenal, City, Liverpool, Chelsea. Oh, fuck Chelsea, I don't need, but like, you know, that level of club I think could genuinely come in from. I think Arsenal would link with him before because he's so he's one of those players that he's so versatile, which obviously immediately kind of pushes the price barrier up that little bit. He's got so much quality. He's such a strong ball carrier. He's so physical. He's pacey. He's got so much. And I've said it before. Like I see him as like him and Kulusevski as 210s. I think that would be fucking mustard. He could be striker competition for Solanke as well. You could play him out wide. I wouldn't love to play him out wide as like a left winger. I don't think I'd love that, but I think you could for sure. Like I don't think it'd be a bad option. I just think he ticks so many boxes. And if it meant selling Maddison, bringing in Cunha, I wouldn't say no to that.
I feel like we need to be. Bosco's saying, "Can he play centre mid?" I think he 100% could.
Yeah,
I think he could be generated. You know how Joel Linton started his career as striker, and then became a brilliant box-to-box physical monster in the midfield. Cunha could do the exact same thing. He's so good. His link-up play is brilliant as well. His vision is brilliant. I think Cunha's a complete player. I think he's limited when he's a striker because his finishing isn't his strongest asset. But I feel like when you relieve him of that pressure, he'll come up with the goals anyways. Like he'll come into the box late.
Like Joelinton.
He'll score some screamers. Yeah, like Joelinton. Yeah, exactly.
He's a much better player than Joelinton, but yeah.
Is when the game doesn't. Yeah, but when the game isn't focused solely for him on you're the one that puts the ball back of the net. He thrives because he's got so much more sort of responsibilities, and he's so good. He's brilliant. I think we need a player like that, and I think he could be a game changer. You know, when you're picking players from different clubs, with players from clubs lower down the league, recruitment side, I would sell Madison. But I think you need to be ruthless as a club. And I'm not saying Madison's been. I think Madison's been brilliant for us. Like, I think he's been unbelievable. But he's going to be 28 next year.
Yeah, it'd be a good time to move.
I feel like he's reached. Yeah, it'll be a smart time to move it, because selling is part of the game. Like, it's part of the game. Like, he obviously has like a 5-year contract from last summer. So he's got like 3. He'll have 3 years left for his. This has been linked with a move away. I can just see him playing in an AC Milan kit or something like that, and just being unbelievable for the last bit of his career. I don't know. Like, I feel like Serie A is like perfect for the way James Maddison plays.
Yeah, maybe. I also think that I also just see him sitting on that Spurs contract until, like, we just don't sell him. I just think he'll be here for the remainder of his contract. I do think that also. I think that's more likely to happen. I
don't like that idea, though.
Neither do I.
I think that's
Man City wouldn't do that.
Ruthless club.
I know. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Archie Gray, Lucas Bergvall. I think I'll keep Gray and I'd loan Bergvall for 18 months. I think Bergvall needs a solid loan where he's relied upon game in, game out, and he can thrive, and he can maybe a championship loan.
Yeah, maybe.
Or that sort of caliber of league. I think that. Or you said sell. Did you say sell? And I said,
yeah, but again, 50-50. Yeah, 50-50 between him and Basuma.
Yeah. So now obviously Son's looking like he's going to sign a new contract to keep him 1 more year. So I feel like that's out of our hands. But like, keep him.
Yeah.
He's Son, and let's see him out to his contract, because he's like a legend. Richarlison.
Sell. I think he'd be the first player in that squad that would sell.
Really, yeah, really. Absolutely. I feel like he does have value, even though he never fucking plays. He still has value. Like, I can see a club like PSG still signing him, but it was just ridiculous. I don't know. He is a brilliant player. He's never ever fit, and he can't string like 5 games together. So I would say, sell him. Timo Werner, obviously, he'll be released. Solanke's staying. Johnson's staying. Odebear staying. Lancashire, stay or loan. It's up to him. I wouldn't be too bothered with either. Mikey Moore staying. So now we've done that. So we've freed up how many spaces? We freed up backup goalie. We freed up, obviously, Reguilon's gone. Davis is gone. I'm saying sell Dragusin, but for the sake of this, because I haven't thought about centre backs to sign, I would maybe sell Dragusin and sign like just a ball player, like Van Heck or something. But and then Bissouma or Bentancur, that's another one. Maddison, Bergvall, Richarlison, Werner. We've freed up about 6 spaces there. So who would you bring in January? And then who would you look to bring in the summer? Like what profile player, caliber player, and what, if you have any players specifically, who would you bring in?
I think Cunha would be one that I'd definitely look to. Not in January. No, not in January. I think December. I think January should just be about. I think there has to be another defender that comes in, someone that maybe is a bit of a hybrid that can play left back and left sided centre back, or just another proper centre half. And probably a goalkeeper as well. But then, can that wait to the summer? I don't know if it can wait to the summer. That's the thing. I just worry that, like Forster at Galatasaray, I know he made some decent saves, but fuck me, I don't know. I just don't want Forster playing.
He don't fill you with any security, does he?
I don't want him playing any significant part in that Europa League knockout phase. Just don't. He cannot. And maybe to be fair to Ange, I think if you'd imagine, hopefully we get through the group. If we get through the group or the league phase or whatever it's fucking called now, then I think it will be Vicario. Absolutely.
Has to be.
But
has to be.
I think those would probably be the priorities. And then if Werner was to be terminated his loan, then definitely a winger, because Alderweireld has obviously just had surgery, so he's not going to be back until, I'd imagine, January, February, probably, on his hamstring. Yang is a kid that we've never seen play for us. Although I'm excited, I'm excited about Yang. I am. Again, obviously Spurs got heat for the signing of it being a fucking club signing, all this sort of shit. I get that. I do get it. But at the same time, I don't think we would have signed him if they didn't think there was ability there. And there is clearly ability there, for sure. I don't think we've signed a dud. But that's, again, you can't have an 18-year-old stepping into that. Like, if you want to be like, we want to fucking go and win things, it's just ain't going to happen. So, yeah.
So that's Jan.
Yeah. So I'm probably
Yeah, I agree. I agree, mate. I feel like, and we're not going to do this, but we have to go big in January with at least one player that's going to come in, because we've got tough games to play for the remainder of the season. It's a long season. We've got so many competitions, and if you want to go far, you need someone that's going to come in and be that absolute catalyst in your squad.
Yeah.
From Sporting Lisbon.
Who did you say? Sorry, you cut out.
Bruno Fernandes. He came. I'm not saying we saw Bruno Fernandes. Sorry.
Oh right. Yeah. I didn't hear that as well. It cut out again when you said
the name. Sorry. I was saying, you know how we signed Bruno. Fucking hell, sorry. You know how Man United signed Bruno Fernandes in January? He came in. He absolutely rocked the Premier League. And I know he come from Sporting Lisbon. I know he's a lot of money, but he came from Sporting. Not many people were expecting him to have that much of an impact, but he was a game changer. We need a signing like that. So I'm saying we go for someone like a Dorgu, or just a left-sided centre-back. And actually Dragusin becomes that fourth-choice centre-back. Maybe even a centre-back that can play at either side, that's comfortable playing either side. Like an Ousmane Diomande. I know, although he'll probably be so expensive, but someone like that who can play both-footed, he's good on the ball, quick, physical, actually fits the system. And then he sort of takes the place of Dragusin, and Dragusin sort of goes further down the pecking order. And then we have to sign a game changer. I'm saying Mbeumo, give a bit of competition to Johnson. I think if you get off with Son, Solanke and Mbeumo, it's like, wow. With Kulusevski behind him.
Yeah,
I feel that'd be so clinical, and Mbeumo never really has an off game.
No,
he'll always contribute to goals, and that's the thing. And how much money would you say? Maybe like 60 mil. Is that realistic?
Is he out of contract in the summer? Or is it next summer?
I think it's next summer. Let me have a look.
So 2026.
I think so. Mbeumo contract. Let's have a little look. 2026. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah. Part of me, for some reason, I thought he was out of contract next summer.
He's on 20 grand. He's on 20 grand a year, a season.
What?
20 grand a season. Oh no, sorry, a week.
I was going to say, must be getting some fucking nice goal bonuses if that was the case. Mate, exactly. Spurs will probably offer fucking 40. And Newcastle will offer, give him 80, and then we won't get him. I think he will end up at Newcastle.
That would fit. That he's got his knob out now. Thinking about it. What were you saying? You cut out, mate.
Oh, sorry. I think you cut out as well. What did you? I don't know what the last thing you heard me say was.
Said about him being on like 20.
Oh yeah, I said it. We'll probably offer him 40, and Newcastle will probably offer him 80, and then that'll be we'll go Newcastle. I think he'll go to Newcastle anyway. But yeah, Mbeumo would be absolutely.
Mate, that's Gordon, Isak, and Mbeumo, mate. That's like Kubo, like the pieces that we're going to be looking for is also a missing piece for their team. All of a sudden, Newcastle getting Mbeumo, or Liverpool getting Mbeumo as that sort of replace Salah in the long term, but yeah, say Newcastle getting Mbeumo. That's Gordon, Isak, and Mbeumo with Harvey Barnes as backup. I'm worried.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm terrified.
Yeah.
I think that would be brilliant for them.
Yeah, it would be.
We fucked.
We're fucked.
Cunha. I would say backup goalkeeper.
Cunha would be amazing.
A backup goalkeeper, whether Cardoso, sorry.
I don't think there's any way we can bring Cardoso in January, right? Is there any way we can bring him in January? I'm not sure.
I don't think so. I don't know. I'm not sure. And then I'll bring a Stiller in as well if we're loaning out Bergvall and we're selling Madison. Because I think Cunha can play across the whole pitch. What do you think of someone like a Marmoush?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to fucking Liverpool. I think Marmoush will probably be Liverpool's Salah replacement. I know it's probably easy to say because he's Egyptian and he's a wide player, but I don't see any world in which Spurs sign Marmoush.
Or
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Did you say the Salah replacement?
Yeah. I probably. I don't know. It might be. I don't think
this summer was the time to get him, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think Marmoush should be good because he can play up front, he can play out wide. I wouldn't say no to Marmoush at all. I think he's quality, but I'm not sure again.
Yeah. So that's the sort of summer because I don't think. Oh, my internet's struggling. We'll finish it up in a sec. But I don't think that that's an unrealistic transfer window to expect, especially from Spurs. But it's like whether we'll do it, I don't know. But there you go. I feel like you got Cunha, you got Mbuemo, you got a more. So, etc.
Yeah.
Everyone, you've been legends. Thanks for bearing with us. I know we've had like a bit of internet struggles and also it's been a bit of a catharsis pod. We've dwelt on this for a week and we've sort of just like releasing all of our emotions out.
Did you say dwelt? Is that a new hybrid word of dealt and dwelt? I thought you said dwelt. Like we've dwelt on this for a while.
Oh,
like we've dealt,
I might have said
dealt
it.
/ dwell. It makes sense.
Dwell.
It does make sense.
But I'll put my hands up and say I was off form on this pod because I'm a mess at the moment when it comes to just talking about Spurs. But
I thought we got still right, mate.
Have hope, and I still, yeah. I don't know how I feel. I have no idea how to feel right now because I love Postecoglou. I love these players. I'm starting to doubt like whether we'll accomplish the thing at the finish line. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But let's see. Maybe we'll beat Man City and we're fucking back.
We could beat.
Do you know what I mean?
And then title charge starts again.
Exactly. And we're gonna preview the Man City pod. I think on like Thursday or Friday. So that'll be coming your way later this week. But everyone, thanks so much, legends. Thanks for getting involved. Ben,
all the best.
Legend. Thanks for getting the questions in as well.
Nice one, guys. Up Spurs.
Cheers for joining us live.